I can put you in a log cabin.
Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm coming to you with a video about all the 20 highlights of my life in Japan. Okay, now the reason for this video is because last March 9th of this year, 2015, was my 10th year in Japan. So I thought I would make a video about the different highlights of my life here in Japan, and just want to share it with you guys, and you might find it interesting how I've changed a lot since I came here in Japan 10 years ago. So I have 20 different actually big highlights of my life in Japan. So without further ado, let's start off with the number one highlight of my life in Japan. And I also prepared some things for you guys, so I won't be rambling too much, although I'm pretty sure I will be. So let's start with number one. So in 2005, March of 2005, and it's spring in Japan, I came here for the very first time, and that is also my very first time to be abroad. I've been in the Philippines my whole life, and I was 23 years old when I came to Japan. What's funny is because when I got out of Narita airport, I thought it was air conditioned, because I was like, it was really warm, and I arrived in Japan like 8 p.m. so I asked what's going on, it was AC or whatever, but they said it was just at a natural temperature, and I realized that we were actually outside and it was just really cold. So that's probably the coldest day of my life so far when I came to Japan. So that's the number one highlight. Number two highlight was my very first major trip in Japan was when I went to Yokohama to explore the city. Although I've heard much before about Yokohama because my mom went to Yokohama long time ago to visit, and I went there and I was really amazed about how clean Japan, about how disciplined people are, and everything is just so nice and so big, and the buildings are so high and so tall and everything like that. But at that time I wanted to go shopping, but I didn't have any money with me because I only had, I think, 30,000 yen, which is pretty much $300 in my pocket, because I never thought of staying. I never intend to stay in Japan. I only wanted to visit and tour for a couple of weeks. So I did not shop, and I could not afford anything anyway because everything was too expensive. So yeah, that was my first major trip in Japan, and I didn't want to blow my money because that was only the third day in Japan. So that's that. Number three, I also met a lot of Filipinos who live close to where I was living. So they're very nice people. A lot of them are wives of Japanese, and also there are people who are here to work as a factory worker, and some are engineers and whatnot. A lot of different Filipinos I've met. Cool people, by the way. And number four, without being said about the Filipinos, meeting Filipinos, I've met this girl who talked me into applying for a teaching job in Japan, to teach English at schools in Japan, because at that time many Filipinos have started working as teachers in Japan, and they were like, why don't you try your luck, why don't you apply, because the salary is good, pay is so good, and it's just a cool job, a cool thing to do. So I was talked into applying it, and so I did it online. I applied online during my trip to Japan, and I got interviewed and I accepted the offer, and everything started from that time when my visa was changed from tourist visa to a working visa. So my life as an employee in Japan has started actually March of the same month I came here in 2005. So that's that. And number five is I was assigned to work at public schools, elementary and kindergartens, at a place which was far from where I was living. So I was literally shipped off to that prefecture, and alone, obviously by myself, and it was really hard for me because at that time my Japanese was nothing, pretty much zero. So it was a struggle for me to go on with my daily life because it was really difficult to communicate. So although I wanted to be independent for the longest time, it was really, really hard for me to be in a foreign country and I can't speak a reek of Japanese. So, because at that time my Japanese was only like Ohayo or hi, that's all I knew. So I wasn't thinking right. I thought to myself, what were you thinking? Why were you here? So that's that. And it was also lonely, especially during the fall season. 4 p.m. was dark and cold. Winter was extremely cold in that area because it's in the mountain area. So it was really, really cold. And that is also the reason why I don't like winter and snow, is because when I was living there, I almost fell off a cliff from like I was driving on my way home and I almost fell off the cliff, and because my snow tires didn't work for some reason. So I was that close from, you know, death, but you know, I survived that. So that's why I really hate winter and I really hate snow because of that reason. So yeah, that's that. Number 6, a highlight of my life in Japan. I survived that year, and after a year I finally went home to the Philippines. And it was funny because I've only been in Japan for a year, but when I got to the airport in the Philippines, I was bowing to everyone there, and they were like, okay, why are you bowing? So I thought it was funny because it only took me a year to adapt that bowing thing. So yeah, that's that. Number 7, I continued teaching English from then on, from 2005 until the present time. And although during that time I still had my passion for teaching, my passion for work was, you know, on top 100%, and whatever happened to that passion is going to be in another video because I don't want to talk about it here. So yeah, that's just want to clear that out. That passion is already gone. So yeah, not today. Number 8, I changed employer and moved to a much better city, which is actually the city where I am living right now with my husband, obviously. And same job, but different city, different schools, and yeah, and I'm still doing the job at the moment. So number 9, I met a lot of new people when I moved here in the city, and mostly foreigners who are also doing the same job as we do. They're teachers of English teachers at schools, and some of them are teachers at private conversation school or tutors and whatnot right now. So yeah, I'm friends with most of them actually. And I also became a regular. We also became a regular at this very, very cool bar that we always hang out, where mostly foreigners in this area where I live go, and of course Japanese obviously. But you know, it's just a cool place. It's just a cool bar restaurant, and very cheap, and the owner is very friendly. So yeah, I think this city where I live in is super cool. It's very convenient. Train station is just like 5 minutes walk away from my apartment, and we have the bullet train. We have you know, trains that go to Tokyo or some other places. It's basically a hub, so it's very, very convenient living here. So next, number 10, in spring, after 5 years I think of me staying here in Japan, my family came to visit me in spring, and it was really fun to, you know, take them around, because, you know, it's not their first time to be in Japan, but, you know, first time with me living in Japan, so it was really, really fun. And number 11, in 2011, there was a big earthquake, as I'm pretty sure all of you knew about the March 2011 earthquake here in the area where I live actually. And during that time, I was in a classroom teaching my 5th grade class, and I was gonna, you know, preparing to wrap up the class, and when it happened, and it was just scary. I mean, if you ask people who were here during that time, it was just the scariest time of our lives. I mean, I've experienced earthquakes before, but nothing like that. Nothing like that. And it was chaos because power was out, water was also out. Obviously, the foods were wiped out from the, you know, from the supermarket, from the convenience stores. They were closed. Gas stations were closed. Everything was limited. Like when you want to buy a 2-liter bottle of water, one person is only limited to buy 1 bottle per person. So it was really hard at that time, and everyone was not prepared for it because it was really unexpected. So, and also when the nuclear plant, which is the next neighbor prefecture from where I'm living right now, you know, all of you know what happened there. So everything was contaminated, vegetables, fish, whatever, what have you, fruits. It was just really, really difficult. But obviously I didn't go to work for a couple of days because, you know, we're not allowed to. I mean, because that's just, you know, that makes sense, right? Not to go to work and not go to school for the kids. So that's that. And number 12, even though a lot of foreigners during that time, they left the country because they were scared, I chose to stay here because, I don't know, even though my family was very obviously scared and for me here, and they were very worried about me, I decided to just stay here and continue and move on with my life, which no big deal. I stayed here because I wanted to. And number 13, also in the same year of March 2011, a couple of weeks after the earthquake, my husband came to Japan. He's crazy for doing that. Even his friends and families thought it was crazy to come to Japan after the earthquake and after the nuclear reaction or whatever. But he came here and I met him, and everything was history. Now we're married, and yeah, that's that. So that time, 3 of them from America came to Japan to start their teaching jobs. So yeah, and number 14, from that time on, we were never apart. Number 15, we married after less than a year of dating and after we met, and at the moment, number 16, at the moment, we are both still happy and in love. Number 17, 2015 is my 10th year in Japan. You know, I have things that I still like about the country, about living here and everything, but I have more things that I hate about living here after 10 years. And just, you know, I realized that there are things that I hate about living here, and what those things are is going to be in another separate video. So I just want to clear out that, you know, I have a love and hate relationship with living here in Japan, just to, you know, sum it all up pretty much for 10 years. So yeah, but also I've learned to speak, but also the good things about being here is I've learned to speak the language, which is, I think, one of the hardest language to learn, in my honest opinion, because it's just difficult. There's like 3 different characters that they use here: katakana, hiragana, and kanji. I mean, if you don't know those things, that's completely lost in translation. And I did not actually go to school for that. When I came here, my Japanese, as I mentioned before, was 0. I just learned by listening, by hearing it every day at work and watching TV. If I don't know anything, if I came across a word or a phrase, I asked somebody to translate it for me. That's how I learned Japanese, basically. And I am not gonna say that my Japanese is awesome and my Japanese is in a native level, not even business level, because I still have to learn a lot more about the language. I can converse an everyday conversation, no problem, but you know, I'm not gonna say that I'm very fluent with Japanese, but maybe I am, but not that fluent. I mean, there are other people, there are other foreigners who can speak better Japanese, who can read, write better Japanese than I do. So yeah, that's that. And also, number 18, I've met some Japanese, and not only that I've worked with them, or I am working with them right now, some of them became really, really good friends with me, and we're still very much in touch. You know, we see each other, we send texts and whatever like that. So, you know, I also have Japanese friends on top of my other foreign friends. So that's that. And number 19, I was also able to teach at public schools and public kindergarten, junior high schools, and elementary schools. I've taught at all those places, and I think I am very lucky to experience this, because they might say that there are a lot of Filipinos who are into teaching right now, but there are still, the percentage of Filipinos who are teaching English is very little, and I am very lucky to be given that opportunity, I guess, to teach English at public schools in a different country like Japan. So I am really thankful and grateful for that experience, and I am still doing it. And also, number 20, I have my ups and downs living in Japan. You know, I mean, it's pretty normal, I guess. But at the end of the day, I look back in 2005, 10 years have passed, and I've come a long way. I'm pretty sure about that. I've come a long way. I also started my YouTube channel while I was here in Japan, and I am here right now in front of you sharing some of the chapters of my life during the 10 years that I've been here in Japan, and still counting. So yeah, and I think that's all for now. I finished all the 20 highlights of my 10 years here in Japan. So I hope you guys liked watching this video, and also please do subscribe for more. I just want to say hello to my subscribers. If you guys are not subscribed yet, please do subscribe for more of my channel. And also, I'm going to be inserting a my Instagram account somewhere down here on the screen, because like I've been saying for the past videos, my Instagram account is now in public, so you guys can actually see all my photos there, and please do follow because I do follow back, so I'm gonna put it down here. So yeah, that's all for now, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.